Whoops. Good evening, everyone. Dr. Stacy here. Welcome. Happy Tuesday, or happy watching the recording if you're watching that. So excited you are joining us, listening to more information about how you can keep your immune system in check in the coming winter months. I know it's hard to believe it's August, but the winter months are right around the corner, and that tends to be when people think they start to get sick, right? So tonight we are wrapping up our four-part series on immune health and hearing from different doctors and practitioners and people that are excited about sharing their personal experience, as you heard last week, in keeping their immune system up with using this technology. So before we get started, of course, I do want to let you know that the information that we're sharing tonight is not for the purposes of making any claims to treat, prevent, diagnose, cure anything going on with you. It is for informational purposes only. I am not a medical doctor. Dr. Jennifer is not a medical doctor. I'll share her bio with you here in just a minute. But we are requesting that you listen with open ears. But if you have any questions about your medical health, please check with your healthcare practitioner. Of course, if you're on medications or pregnant or nursing, again, check with your practitioner. They'll be able to help you out and best meet your needs. So, with that, Dr. Jennifer, I am so excited you are back again. It's been a little bit, but we loved having you on when you've been here before. If you are new to this podcast, this Zoom, or maybe you haven't heard Dr. Jennifer before, you're in for a treat. She is a board certified doctor of naturopathy with expertise in resolving autoimmune conditions. I love this is the famous thing that you said from last time we zoomed, Jennifer, talking about autoimmune. You have a toxicity or a deficiency, right? A toxicity in some type of toxin and a nutrient deficiency. You are out of balance, and then that's what happens to your body. Everything goes haywire. I love that explanation. It's so simple. So she has over 20 years of experience in the holistic health field, including the operation of a comprehensive wellness center, which we have talked in depth about in the past, which is amazing. And also, she offers group wellness workshops and integrative consulting services for medical practitioners. So, Dr. Jennifer, thank you for being here again with us this evening, taking your time out of your busy schedule to pour into our LifeWave community, learning more information about boosting your immune system. So, I would love for you to just share what you want about what you're currently doing in practice. I know you've added some things to that, and what that looks like. And of course, let's talk about immune function.
All right. Well, thank you, Dr. Stacy. Thank you for having me back. I do love talking about the immune system, and it always makes me laugh when I hear people say, cold and flu season is just around the corner, and I'm like, gosh, maybe it's because I come from a small town, and maybe our education system wasn't that good, but we were only taught that there were four seasons. And that was spring, summer, fall, and winter. I never learned about cold and flu season, and so really the way I look at it this time of year is think of the reason why people do tend to get sick this time of year. Again, a lot of it goes back to toxicity and deficiency, which is what I do always say. And some of those deficiencies, well, I will say on both sides of toxicity and deficiency. When it relates to the immune system, they all pretty much start with the same letter, so that makes it easy to remember. And one of those is lack of sunshine. If you think about it, the days grow shorter. And so this time of year, well, starting soon, we'll be getting less and less sunlight, daylight. And as the temperature drops and it gets cooler, we tend to spend more time indoors versus outdoors. So we're not getting that good, healthy vitamin D that our bodies produce as a result of being exposed to the sun. So that's one of the big deficiencies that contributes to poor immune function. Sugar consumption is another one. So sunshine S, sugar S. Think about what happens this time of year. I live in the South, and really it starts with football season. I guess that is a season I didn't learn about in school, but football season, followed by Halloween, followed by Christmas, all the things. And what all that has in common is a lot of sugar, a lot of junk. And I've talked about sugar in the past with clients of mine, and sometimes I get a puzzled look on their face. Well, I don't eat sugar. And people think, well, gosh, I'm not sitting down eating a bowl full of sugar with a spoon, but there's sugar in everything. There's so much hidden sugar. When I see people drinking soda, as we call it in the South, or pop in the Midwest, I guess, there's a lot of sugar in there, and it's really not even real sugar anymore. Much worse than that is it's genetically modified high fructose corn syrup, devastating to the immune system. Talk about a toxicity. So that's another S that contributes. Sedentary lifestyle is another S. So these are all pretty easy to remember, but we tend to kind of slow things down in some ways with regard to bodily movement in the cooler months. We're not out riding our bikes or swimming or doing some of the things that we tend to do during the warmer months. And so that sedentary lifestyle kind of slows down the lymphatic system. And so that definitely contributes to poor immune function. Let's see, some of the other S's, stress. That's a big one. I know I used to get really stressed out during the holiday season, and it was my own fault. I look back and think how silly it was, but I thought everything had to be perfect. I thought I had to have the perfect gifts for everyone, the perfect food, all the perfect events. I was always entertaining, the perfect decorations. And I kind of look back at how I stressed myself out, stressed with relatives coming over. We all have those relatives that can mm, get to us, cause a little extra stress. So keeping stress levels under control is very important for immune function. Sleep or lack thereof, let's call it sleep hygiene. That is very important for proper immune function. So during the hustle and bustle of the holiday season, we tend to not get the sleep that we need. There are holiday parties and late night football games and rushing around preparing for the holidays. So I feel like all of those things are really among the biggest contributors to poor immune function and therefore getting sick. So I would say, to kind of recap, let's see, stress, sugar, sleep, um, sedentary lifestyle. I think, did I cover all of them?
Sunlight.
Sunlight. Oh my goodness. Number one, numero uno, sunlight. So yeah, those are, I think, my five S's that have the biggest impact on your immune system. And I can elaborate on those, how to improve those, but I just kind of wanted to start out there and say again, yes, toxicity and deficiency. And so those are some of the biggest ones.
I love that. And so those things could either be a toxicity, too much, sugar, too much, stress, or a deficiency, not enough sleep, not enough exercise, not enough sunlight. So we
That's
can see
right.
how those things can be out of balance. And I mean, it's just life, right? It's people, it happens, it's just what we do. So we have to learn ways to manage the stressors or the ups and downs of our life, be in these situations and not cave in and go, yeah, sure, I'll eat, the bowl full of candy, or, I'll have an extra piece of birthday cake with ice cream, or, yeah, it won't hurt. One more extra piece of pumpkin pie, right? So we have to figure out, oh, we're going to be up and, let's just stay up tonight and have, margaritas. Let's do a little extra at the post game party, pre game, post game. So, how do we deal with this so that, we do keep our immune system in check? Because what happens, this, Dr. Jennifer, as a mom, if we don't take care of ourselves, we're not able to take care of anyone else in our family.
That's
So if
right.
we don't mind our own bodies, our own boundaries, and what we need to do to keep ourselves in line, then nobody else is really getting the proper care that they need or deserve either. So let's talk about some of these tools with LifeWave's technology. and other tools as well. Let's talk about some tools and how we can keep our bodies and our boundaries in check.
Yeah, that is a great one. Boundaries. I've never been good at that. I've called myself a chronic yesaholic in the past, and I'm trying my best to improve upon that. I feel like I'm getting a little better as I go along. But I'll tell you, I love the Eon patch. We refer to that as the happy patch. And I've often talked before about the autonomic nervous system. We've got the two branches in it in our autonomic nervous system. There's sympathetic, also known as fight, flight, or freeze, versus parasympathetic, rest, digest, repair. And, coming up this time of year, it seems like a lot of us do tend to be in that sympathetic fight, flight, or freeze mode. And it's easy for it to happen, but learning to say no a little better than I've been known to do is good. I always say no when you can, and or say yes when you can, and yes when you shouldn't. I'm sorry, I mixed that up. Anyway, say yes when you can and yes when you can't as well. There are a lot of yeses that we should be saying and others that we shouldn't, but the Eon patch is so wonderful for helping to balance that autonomic nervous system, so that we're not in that heightened state of awareness, so that we do feel a sense of calm. It's also wonderful for reducing inflammation, which we tend to become inflamed from processed food, from high amounts of sugar, from alcohol, which converts to sugar. So that is a great tool, and I wear the Eon patch every single day. That's one that can be worn day or night. And I always tell people, if you're the type of person that goes to bed tired, but as soon as you hit the pillow, that monkey mind kicks in and you start trying to solve all the world's problems, you may want to use Eon at night. But day or night, by reducing inflammation, you can also help lower pain levels that can help keep you up at night. If you're in pain, or at nighttime you're not able to relax and get a good night's sleep. Also, if you're in pain during the daytime, you tend to be tensed up and remain in that heightened state of awareness, also known as sympathetic mode. So Eon is just one great tool that I use on a daily basis for multiple reasons. I think anyone in America can benefit from the Eon patch.
I agree with you. And I think the big thing too with people, we all know we are exposed to things that cause inflammation in our body. I mean, we just can't live, breathe without being exposed to something. So anything we can do to help combat that. But I think the big thing with Eon, especially as we, come into the months that are coming up, is the nervous system, is keeping you in that happy state, to keep your body in that calm, relaxed state to where you're not so stressed out over the situations, rushing to the ball games, hurrying up to fix the food to get to the kids to wherever, or to get to this place or that place for the different meals and whatever the gatherings, or being, like you said, around those people that you're like, oh, I don't know if I want to go to this, or oh my gosh, instead of going for an extra beer or an extra glass of wine, throw on an extra Eon, right?
There you go.
Let's just keep that nervous system in check. Mind your boundaries. Set a time limit. We're going to be here this time, and then after that, we are going to go. If it's one of those situations, and or maybe it's one where you're like, we're going to be here party all night long. You might want to throw in some glutathione, which would be a great patch to talk about next when we look at it.
Absolutely. I love glutathione. Yeah, that's also in my regular arsenal. But the glutathione patch, that was a big selling point for me when I was first introduced to this technology. I've always been a big fan of glutathione, just for its many, many benefits on the immune system and for safe, healthy detoxification. And but I've never really I've always been concerned about the different methods of receiving an endogenous form of glutathione, a supplement form. You can take glutathione capsules, but your stomach eats up the majority of it, about 80%. So you're not left with a whole lot. Glutathione IVs have their downfalls, and I used to carry a glutathione supplement that you squirted in your mouth, but it was a very expensive product, and it tasted horrible. Like everyone hated it. It had to be refrigerated. So yeah, the glutathione patch is wonderful, and the glutathione patch provides deep foundational immune support. And as a matter of fact, there are quite a few health conditions, let's call it some neurological conditions, deep immune conditions, immune related, that you can look up that are directly linked to glutathione deficiencies. And glutathione, just to wear that on a regular basis, even if it's every other day, that can be very helpful. I've also known of people who did come down sick. They were just run down, stressed out, burning the candle at both ends. And they did end up getting really, really ill, whether it be, strong cough, fever, whatever. And there's a trick. I've known of people who have applied a glutathione patch on either side of their neck, and the cough is gone like magic. So it is deep foundational immune support, but it can also be used in some acute circumstances. But keeping that lymphatic system healthy and moving, and glutathione can help with that, help provide deep foundational immune support. Love that patch.
Me too. When I look at glutathione obviously it's a tripeptide, most people don't even know that we have glutathione in our body, right? They don't know that we have that. They don't know
Right.
that the oldest people on the planet in the blue zones have the highest level of glutathione. Now we know they're not patching. So what are they doing? What do their lifestyles look like and to
Well,
keep that antioxidant that high in their body, which, as you said, is the foundation, right? Your immune system is your foundation, and that glutathione, that's our biggest antioxidant.
it sure is, yeah. And the people in the blue zones lead entirely different lives than most of us do in America. I hate to say it, but they are moving their bodies. They are walking. They are out gardening. They're eating real food. They're not getting their dinner at 7-Eleven or Taco Bell. They're eating real food, much of which was grown by their own hands in rich, fertile soil that hasn't been doused with glyphosate, and their stress levels are much lower than ours are here in America. So all those things can contribute to proper immune function and higher glutathione levels. There are some other things you can do to help boost your endogenous levels of glutathione. For example, eating cruciferous vegetables, that can help. Those vegetables with sulfuric compounds like broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, things like that. But I've always said that when it comes to supplementation, I've always told people, don't take it if you can make it. And glutathione, we can't make everything. For example, you can't make vitamin C in your body. Your body doesn't produce vitamin D. I'm sorry, vitamin C. So you have to obtain that from food, from fruits, and certain vegetables like peppers contain vitamin C. But you do can produce glutathione, and so you're always going to be better off to do what you can to elevate your body's own native or endogenous levels of glutathione versus taking a glutathione supplement. And so that's exactly what the glutathione patch does. The glutathione patch signals to your liver and says, hey, Dr. Stacy needs a little more glutathione to keep things in balance, to maintain homeostasis and healthy immune function, and to help her rid her body of a few toxins she's been exposed to. And so I love glutathione for that reason. You are never going to overdose on something that your body produces itself by encouraging your body to produce more of it versus taking a supplement. There are some issues with that. You may not assimilate it, so it may be a complete waste, or you may overdo it and have some issues there. So yeah, the glutathione patch is one of my all-time favorites.
I totally agree with that. And I love that point of you may not even absorb this, you may not assimilate it, or you may actually overdo it. And with the patch, you're elevating your own glutathione. So your body is not going to mess up.
That's
It's
right.
going to,
We are
yeah,
so divinely designed. Our bodies are so intelligent, and your body knows just what to do when you give it the right tools. So, no dosing to worry about.
I love that. So, what's another patch that you love for immune system function?
Gosh, I do love the energy enhancer, the very first patch that David Schmidt invented, the two-patch system. People tend to not really think of it for immune health, but it delivers clean energy. I feel like we tend to need a little more energy during these months that are coming up this time of year, and but we need clean energy. We don't need um, pots of coffee and energy drinks and things like that. So the energy enhancer delivers clean energy through the mitochondria. So it basically signals our mitochondria, which is the powerhouse of our cells, to produce higher levels of ATP, our body's fuel, our energy source. But a little side benefit with the energy enhancer, which we don't do side effects with LifeWave. That's
Mhm.
the best thing of all. There are no side effects. We don't do side effects. We only do side benefits. And the side benefit of the energy enhancer is that it helps move the lymphatic system. So I always recommend to clients, when you're during the busy holiday travel season, plane, trains, and automobiles, you can be sitting on an airplane, multiple airplanes, and in airports, or in a car, or even in a train, anything like that, for hours and hours on end, which is terrible for your lymphatic system. So by applying the energy enhancer patches, you may not think that you need energy during that time of travel, or you may, but regardless, it is going to move your lymphatic system so that you don't have that sedentary lifestyle, even though you are sitting a lot. It helps overcome that and keep the lymphatic system moving, because your lymphatic system doesn't have a pump. It's only moving when you're moving. So I love the side benefit of the energy enhancer. It's not really something I don't think most people would think of for immune support, but it's just one of the many additional side benefits.
I agree with you. That patch, most people don't use it. They're like, "Oh, I have plenty of energy," or "Oh, I'm good." I don't. One more patch. I want to put another one on, or right, left, tan, white. But I'll be honest with you, that patch, for the exact reasons that you just said. Number one, clean energy, right? Mitochondria function, mitochondrial dysfunction is, we can see at the root of so many problems with people.
That's
Their
right.
cells aren't communicating with each other, and the lymphatic system is just, it has to move. And like you said, if we're not moving, it's not moving. And it is your waste removal system, right? It's removing these toxins out of your body. It's helping to get excess, extra, whatever, junk, sludge, whatever you want to call it, out, right? Get it out. And we need that lymphatic system to move. But when you look at our cells, and you look at the cell to cell communication, and we know as we age our cells shrink. When we're younger, our cells, trillions of them, they look like grapes, right? Nice plump grapes is how I picture ourselves. And then
Yeah.
as we age, they turn into raisins.
Yeah,
And
that's a
so,
great analogy.
yeah.
Perfect.
And so I'm like, ew, that's what happens when you get old. And it doesn't just mean like old as an 80 old. It like starts a lot earlier than that. Our cells start to shrink as we age, as we degenerate. And so keeping the cells nice and plump and full and fluid in my mind,
Mhm.
visualizing them and moving and communicating with each other. Energy enhancer is huge in the reverse aging world when you look at what it does at the mitochondrial level and the cell to cell level, that it's just like the light around your cell dims. And so when you use this energy enhancer patch, it's like brightening everything up, waking it up, getting it like doing what it's supposed to do. Because when you were kids, of course, you had tons of energy, and your body functioned great, and things moved and flowed through. And of course, you're doing all the things when you're little. And when we get older, like you said, sedentary lifestyle kicks in, job stress, busy work, kids, and we put ourselves on the back burner. So this is a way to burn an extra 300 to 600 calories a day, not overeating, but burn that extra 300 to 600 calories a day and be able to do so many more things without even realizing what's happening in the body that is key to our immune function. So, Dr. Jennifer, we've got about 5 minutes left. I would love to hear another patch that you absolutely recommend for our immune function benefits.
I've got to say, you can't go wrong with X39.
Yep.
I tell people if you have one patch to use, go with that. Again, so many side benefits, no side effects, but one of the many side benefits of the X39 patch is that it does elevate your endogenous or native levels of glutathione by about 30%. So it's nowhere near the average of 300% that the glutathione patch elevates, but 30% is still a nice boost. And when it comes to long-term deep immune support, one of the many other benefits of X39 is it helps to trigger apoptosis. So programmed cell death. So, our cells are constantly turning over. And when our cells age and become, no longer functioning well, you want them to kind of explode. You want them to say goodbye to the world, commit suicide, whatever. You want them to move on to greener pastures. And when someone has a health condition that begins with the letter C, what that is their body is not able to do that. Their body is not, apoptosis is not happening, and so those damaged cells are just continuing to grow and grow and multiply. So you don't want that. So one of the lovely benefits of X39 is it does trigger apoptosis, and it elevates the your endogenous glutathione levels a little bit by about 30%, and it just contributes to all over cellular health. And really everything boils down to cellular health, whether it's your immune system, whether it's your digestive system, whether it's your neurological system, respiratory, it all comes down really to cellular health. So you can't go wrong with the X39 patch. Elevating that GHK copper peptide in the body, resetting over 4,000 of your genes to a younger, healthier state, and reactivating those tired old master cells that are responsible for repair and regeneration. X39 is going to do all of those things for you. And the longer you wear it, the more benefits you're going to feel. It just compounds and gets better and better all the time.
I love that. And that's when we look at peptides. When you're elevating peptides, it is important to stay consistent. 12 hours on, put these patches on in the morning when you get up, leave them on 12 hours, take them off, throw them away, put on brand new ones the next day. You and I have been patching for years. Years we've been patching. Why? Because we know what's happening in our body, that repair, regeneration, that consistency that has actually turned into reversal, age reversal inside of our bodies. And so we're functioning much younger than we were years ago when we started patching. And we're able to feel the benefits on the inside, see the benefits on the outside, and it's all a big piece, like one big huge puzzle. And so it's not like you can just put on a patch and expect everything to be perfect and oh, I don't have to sleep, I can party all night long, I don't have to worry about the stress, I can overdo it. Da, da, da. It is this is a big puzzle, and these patches fit perfectly into that puzzle of making sure that our foundation is perfect, as best as it can be, right? So that when
That's
we
right.
do have things come up, our body is like, oh, we got this, no worries, right?
That's right. Absolutely. I love that. Foundational health is key. In America, we're such a microwave society, and we tend to wait until we get sick and then we reach for a pharmaceutical drug, whether it's over the counter or prescription or something like that, that's going to, carpet bomb us into health. That just doesn't happen. So, I've used the analogy before when you use a drug, which I mean, sometimes they are necessary, especially with an acute injury, something like that. I don't want people to be in pain. But when it comes to foundational health, what you're doing, if you're reaching for something for a drug to mask the symptoms of a cold or flu or whatever the case is, insert the health condition, that's really almost the equivalent of your check engine light coming on in your car and driving to a mechanic and saying, hey, my check engine light's on, and that mechanic's telling you, pop your hood, let me take a look here. And you pop your hood, he reaches in, unscrews that light bulb, that check engine lamp, and says, okay, start your car back up, and the check engine light's no longer on. And he's like, okay, you're good to go. Well, did he fix the problem? Not at all. He just eliminated the symptom. That check engine light was the symptom that was alerting you that something was wrong. And so it's really the same. So when you focus on foundational health, keeping yourself healthy from the ground level up, staying well hydrated, getting sunshine, moving your body, getting exercise, keeping your stress levels under control, eating a healthy diet, avoiding, sugar is the best you can, and then just using these foundational patches, you can't go wrong.
I agree. You just can't go wrong. You just got to do it, right? So, thank you so much, Dr. Jennifer, for being here this evening, for pouring into our community, for sharing such incredible words of wisdom and tips and suggestions and your knowledge. Thank you for taking the time tonight. I
Thank you
appreciate it.
so much to have me. It was an honor to be back
Wonderful. Well, I look forward to seeing you again on Zoom again very soon.
as well. Likewise. Have a
Thank
great
you.
evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
Good night, everyone.